Today we're going to learn how to draw eyes. First, you're going to start off with drawing a very light circle. Notice how I keep going over and over and over again the same line until I feel that the circle is complete, and then I'll use my eraser to erase any of the mistake lines. Once you have a simple circle, that represents the eyeball. Then, with your pencil, you're going to very lightly dissect or cut in two the eye straight across with a dotted line. This will be erased eventually, but this line represents where the upper eyelid and the lower eyelid connect on both sides, left and right, of the eyeball. The next step is to create the top part of the upper eyelid, and all you're going to do is just follow the contour of the circle just a hair above that circle line. Start the line at the dotted and end at the dotted. Okay? The second part of the upper eyelid is going to start at the same place, here and here, but instead of going above the circle of the eyeball, you're going to actually cut across the eyeball a little bit lower. Now, depending on the emotion that you choose, will depend on how low to draw this second line. So that is the upper eyelid, and then you can go through with your eraser and erase the line of the eyeball so that your eyelid doesn't look like it's see-through. The lower eyelid will be quite similar. You start at the same spot right here and right here where the X's are. Bottom line will follow the contour of the circle again. And the second part, the upper line of the lower eyelid, will cut across the eyeball, but not as deep into the eyeball as the upper eyelid will go. It's a very thin eyelid compared to the upper. And there is your lower eyelid. And you can erase the eyeball line through the eyelid. Once that's done, you actually don't need this dotted line anymore, and you can go ahead and erase it on both sides and in the middle of the eyeball. Your next step will be to create the iris, and that's the colored part of the eyeball. The iris actually is very large and is usually cut off by either the upper eyelid or the lower eyelid, or sometimes even both if your eye is closed. But because my eye is so open, I'm going to create another circle that's smaller than the eyeball circle, but gets cut off by the upper eyelid. You can't see the whole thing, in other words. So there's my iris. That's the colored part of your eye. And inside the iris is yet another circle that represents the pupil, or the black part. You want to make the iris fairly large, but not too large. If it's really large, it will look like there's no light in the room and the iris is dilated. Or if it's really, really small, it means it's too bright in the room. So you want a happy balance between the two. You can, at that point, color in. Don't press too hard with the pencil, though, because we need to make some lines and erase marks within that pupil. So color it in lightly, and I like to draw some lines coming out to represent the color of the iris. But as you saw yesterday in the video, a highlight is needed to make this eye look alive. So I'll go through with my eraser and I'll erase. Sometimes I'll even draw around that highlight line so you can see it a little bit better. And there's usually two, either a circle and a dash, or a square and a line. But there is the highlight. The last thing that you want to draw for your eye is the eyebrow, and a lot of students place the eyebrow way too high or way too low. So what I like to do in the corners where your eyelids meet is draw another light set of dotted lines coming out at an angle away from the eye, and this will frame where the eyebrow lives. So now you know that the eyebrow will start at one side and end at the other. If your nose is on this side of the eye, the eyebrow section that begins closest to the nose will be the larger circular end of the eyebrow, and it will have an arc that goes up and back down again. Now, your eyebrows might be a little bit different than your neighbors. Most likely they are. Some are a little bit bushier or larger. Sometimes there's a part of the eyebrow on this side that will actually lift up, especially if you're Irish. My son has an Irish just one Irish eyebrow. The other one is a normal, not normal, but an arc. So there you have your eyebrow. When you are talking about emotions, angry usually causes the eyebrow to be lower on the face, so you can actually draw your eyebrow starting lower and then coming up. And I'll actually erase that basic eyebrow that I just drew to show you what angry eyebrows look like. So you have it real low on one side and then they come up like that. Okay? But not only do the eyebrows do that, but also the eyelids. So you can lower the upper eyelid across the eye like this. Oh yeah, now we're getting angry. And the lower eyelid can be raised as well. You're going to really have to look at your own face as you draw, because everybody's eyes are shaped different. This is just a basic eye, and everybody's eyebrows are also shaped differently. But that would be your basic, that would be angry. Surprised, you would raise the eyebrow real high up, somewhere above there, and then you would also raise the upper eyelid and the lower so that you see more of the iris. Another basic instruction would be for curious, inquisitive, questioning, or worried eyebrows, and they actually will go up in the middle. So instead of being down low, they would be raised. And then you would also have to really look in the mirror at yourself as you're looking at your own eyelids and seeing what they do as you give yourself a questioning look in the mirror, because they wouldn't stay down like the angry one. You can even draw in the worry lines between your eyebrows. Sometimes that helps to make them look very concerned. On your worksheet, I used 2 dotted lines to create the guidelines so that you know where your eyes live, and I would say that you should probably start off with your circles of your eyeballs being about here and here on your paper. Next, we'll talk about drawing the mouth.